Today on 21st Century, girls for sale in India, and Canada's indigenous women, the missing and the dead. In India, a child is abducted every 8 minutes. Most are girls. A third are never found.
मर जाने पर तो कोई बात नहीं होता है। सामने जिंदा में अगर कहीं चला गया तो उसके लिए तो बहुत तकलीफ होता है।
Rescuing girls for sale. Kolkata, one of the largest cities in India. It's home to one of the biggest red light districts in Asia. Over 60,000 prostitutes work here, many of them children, trafficked against their will. Rishi Kant is an anti-trafficking activist. His mission is to rescue underage girls who've been kidnapped and then sold into prostitution, forced marriage, or domestic slavery.
Somebody identifies the girl, somebody procures the girl, bring her out from the village, take her to a big railway station or bus station. From there they are transported to bigger cities. Once the girl is sent to Delhi or Mumbai, they are trapped.
Today he's on his way to meet the parents of a 17-year-old girl, Noor Banu, who disappeared almost a year ago. Noor Banu's parents live on less than 50 cents a day. For them, this may be the only hope of finding their daughter.
Photo dekho. Eta tomar me.
এবেল জাতি চাচ্ছে তা এই বউ ছিল আর ছেলে ছিল তো ওই বউ নিয়ে ডাক্তারখানার নাম করে 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 নিয়ে যেত এবেল আমি কলকাতায় কি হচ্ছে না হচ্ছে এবেল আমি কলকাতা কি দাদা দেখতে আসছি বলে এবেল এরকম করে আমি চলে গেছি আচ্ছা এবেল ওই বউ নিয়ে কি করলো না করলো আমি আর জানি না
এফআইআর হয়েছে হ্যাঁ আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে তারপরে পুলিশরা কিছু করতে পারছে না
না আসামি না পেলে আর কি করব এখন
Traffickers move from one place to another. Suppose if this girl is taken from this place, they will go to Kolkata. From Kolkata, they might either go to Howrah station and take a train to Delhi or Mumbai. So we can track this case.
Although Rishi is hopeful, the reality is that around a third of trafficked children are never traced. Stories of trafficked girls are not unique to this state, Bengal. They're just as commonplace in the neighbouring state of Jharkhand, where Aradhana Singh is the head of the anti-trafficking unit.
झारखंड में ट्रैफिकिंग का हब इसलिए है कि गरीबी बहुत है, शिक्षा की कमी है, जागरूकता नहीं है.
There are many traffickers involved in each step of transporting the girls from the village to big cities, and there's a financial transaction each time.
एक लड़की लो अब 20,000 दो, 20 से 25,000 वो ले लेता है ट्रैफिकर. उसका प्लेसमेंट एजेंसी में लोग आते हैं, 35 से लेके 50,000 रुपये के बीच में उसको खरीदते हैं.
Today, as Aradhana Singh is travelling through the area, a mother approaches her.
क्या बात है? बताइए. कहाँ से आई हो? मुझे में रहती हो. सलोमी. अच्छा, बेटी खो गई.
The mother reports that her 14-year-old daughter Mariam vanished from her home over 2 weeks ago.
अच्छा, ये फोटो लाना, इसी से हम बड़ा भी करा देंगे. हम फोन करेंगे तुमको आ जाना. ठीक है?
Mariam's story, like that of Noor Banu, mirrors the experience of thousands of other girls. A family member tricked her into leaving the village with him. To protect her identity, we've changed her name. Meanwhile, back in Kolkata, Rishi Kant plots his next move to locate 17-year-old Noor Banu. He heads to the busy Howrah station, where he believes Noor Banu may have passed through. As expected, the trail is cold. It's been a year now since Noor Banu vanished. Most successful rescues take place soon after the abduction. Rishi is not sure what to do next. But in the other case of 14-year-old Mariam, Aradhana Singh has managed to track down the trafficker. She calls Rishi to see if he can help find her.
नेटवर्क से भी अभी काम लिया जा रहा है, NGOs द्वारा ज़्यादा काम लिया जा रहा है, क्योंकि कुछ एरिया है जहाँ हम लोग डायरेक्ट नहीं घुल मिल के जा सकते हैं, हमारा NGO जाके वो काम कर लेता है.
After speaking to Aradhana, Rishi heads to the state of Haryana, about 150 kilometers away, where Mariam is believed to be located. Rishi meets up with the local police team. Joining them is Mariam's mother and the relative who sold her daughter to a trafficker for a small payment. This relative has now agreed to cooperate with the police. Rishi and the police set up a trap to capture the local trafficker. The relative offers him another girl for sale.
हम परवीन बोल रहे हैं, नहीं पहचाने? आए हैं, करना लाए हैं, लड़की लाए हैं एक, लड़की लाए हैं एक, लड़की लाए हैं? हाँ, तो अभी कहाँ मिलिएगा? कैसे करेंगे आप?
The police team's cyber cell tracks the call. They now have his location. According to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, over 150,000 people are trafficked within South Asia every year. Globally, human trafficking is a $32 billion industry. Hoping to find Mariam, Rishi's team arrive at the trafficker's home. There's a young girl in his bed.
Ganga. Budre.
But it's not Mariam. In the car, the police question the trafficker about Mariam.
तो ये वो हमारे पास आ गया वो लड़की को लेके, जिस लड़की की ये बात कर रहे हो आप. अच्छा. क्या नाम बोल रहे थे? हैं? मोइलेन है कि क्या है? तो उसका जी वहाँ और है ये करोदा गांव में.
बहुत मुश्किल से हम सुला के आ रहे हैं, खाते पीते भी नहीं था, फिर भी हमको घर से निकाल दिया, फिर भी मुड़ों में रख के उन लोग को खिला रहे पिला रहे थे, और अभी घूम हो गई, हमको तड़प तड़प करके मुरा रहे.
The selling of young girls as brides is common in some states like Punjab and Haryana. A major factor is the extremely low sex ratio of females to males. Young girls are brought here and sold as child brides to the local men at bargain prices. The team have received new information on where Mariam is being kept. But marriage in India is sacrosanct, and snatching a girl from her marital home can have violent consequences. Startled and afraid, Mariam emerges from the room. After 20 days of separation, mother and daughter are finally reunited.
तो बुढ़ा है ये तो 40 कहाँ 50-55 का साल का आदमी है। बुढ़ा सो रहा था, नंगे सो रहा, बताओ।
The husband of 14-year-old Mariam is a 50-year-old man.
हमको कॉल की थी और बोल रही थी कि आने के लिए बोला है, सूट खरीद देंगे बोल के बोल रही थी। जब रांची पहुँचे तो ट्रेन में चढ़े तो हमको लगा कि कहीं ले जा रही है ट्रेन। उसके बाद तो लोग जबरदस्ती हमको शादी करवा रही थी।
If convicted, the husband will face 10 years in prison for purchasing Mariam.
The girl has been rescued finally after at least 24 hours of an effort of tracing the girl from and that to 2 states.
Mariam will be taken to the Child Welfare Committee for a hearing before she can go back home. Back in Noor Banu's village, her parents are still waiting for her return, surrounded by her meager belongings.
माँ बाप को कैसा लगता है उस टाइम, मगर कहीं बच्चा अगर मर जाने पर तो कोई बात नहीं होता है, और सामने जिंदा में अगर कहीं चला गया तो उसके लिए तो बहुत तकलीफ होता है हमको भी।
In India, for every Mariam who's rescued, there are several Noor Banus who remain missing. And far too many parents and children continue to feel that pain. A murder that shocked the community.
This little girl should not have been killed. We've all let her down. Like at every level of society has let this kid down.
And the call to end violence against a country's native peoples.
I have a daughter, she's 21, and every time she goes out, is she gonna come home? Like, you know, it's call me, let me know where you are.
Canada's missing Indigenous women and girls.
This is the Red River. It's one of the main rivers that flows right through North America. But this is the Alexander Docks in Winnipeg. So in early August 2014, August 8th, Sunday afternoon, there was a gentleman here walking with his kids, and he spotted what he believed to be a body just probably about 50 meters north of the fence here and maybe 10 meters out into the water. And he saw what he believed to be a human arm, and he alerted the police that were in the area. And what they recovered was a body of a female wrapped in a bed sheet, a duvet cover, and had been weighed down.
The remains were of a 15-year-old Aboriginal girl of Sakin First Nation, Tina Fontaine, who had been reported missing for 9 days.
The homicide unit entered what has become a long and complicated investigation. The murder of this child, and let's not forget she was a child, has shocked and outraged our community. And I think that outrage has resonated across our nation.
Her death sparked a march through the city streets and renewed calls for a national inquiry to provide answers.
First of all, our hearts go out to family and friends of Tina Fontaine. The entire First Nations and Aboriginal communities across the country are reeling with this particularly poignant and tragic loss, but it comes on a compounded loss of so many missing and murdered over the years.
Tina's family is not the only one to struggle with loss through violence.
It takes your mind off everything, and I mean, I think of my sister every time I bead, but it's not a bad way. It's not the ugly part of what happened. It's beautiful memories of her.
At the Kanekanichik Center in the north of Winnipeg, sisters Gerri-Lee Pangman and Kim McPherson have a Thursday evening ritual.
Yep, one bead at a time. We always make jokes about like beating, you know, like beat it like Michael Jackson, you know, beat it, or one beat at a time, like one day at a time. Just, yeah, really nerdy jokes.
Gerri-Lee and Kim are just two among dozens of women who come to the center each week, which offers support to Indigenous families affected by violence, homicide, or who have missing family members.
Because we used to beat when we were in our teens, like 12, 13. We used to beat at home, right?
And same with our sister Jennifer.
Jennifer, a mother of 2, was murdered in British Columbia at the age of 41. Many families feel that not enough is done to support Aboriginal communities facing these crimes.
When our sister went missing, there was an actual error on her identity. They actually mistakenly put Caucasian. We decided we're just going to leave it as Caucasian because she'll get more attention, you know, instead of changing it to Aboriginal.
The thing with a lot of Indigenous families, it's not just one tragedy, it's multiple tragedies. Like I've heard of one family where there's been 4 or 5 women that have gone missing or have been murdered.
In a quiet street of this neighborhood, there is no peace. Bernadette Smith has been searching for her half-sister Claudette for more than 7 years.
On July 24th, she was with my sister Tina, and they had said goodbye to each other at a crosswalk on Selkirk and Charles. My sister went one way, my other sister went the other way, and that was the last time anyone seen Claudette from our family. With someone who's missing, you never really know, right? It's always the wondering, you know, phone rings and it's like, is that the call to let you know? Or doorbell rings and, you know, so you're always left constantly wondering. You're always left, you know, driving past the field and thinking, you know, could she be in that field? Like, it's very difficult. Like, it's not something that you can move on and kind of heal because you have no answers. Like, there's nothing. What can you find? Like, we live in such a big country where there's so much field.
Manitoba has the highest population of Aboriginal people among the provinces, and many are extremely concerned for their safety.
Well, even as an adult woman, I'm very careful when I walk the street, and you know, because people just, like, there's a lot of creepy people out there.
I have a daughter, she's 21, and every time she goes out, is she gonna come home? Like, you know, it's call me, let me know where you are, or I'll call her. You know, I'm constantly worrying about her, and it's scary.
You know, my sister was an Aboriginal person. She was a woman. She was someone who had a known drug addiction, and she also had a criminal record. So we felt all of those things played a role in, you know, the police not taking action right away, and the response we got with, you know, she'll turn up, she's an adult, she's out there somewhere.
There are 1,183 police-recorded incidents of murdered and missing Aboriginal women and girls in Canada since 1980. A figure so high that this monument was commissioned in Winnipeg to honor their memory. Victoria Tauli-Corpuz is an independent expert from the Philippines tasked by the United Nations to develop a national inquiry with the Canadian government.
Well, I was very encouraged by the response because it seems they are really sincerely interested to pursue the case, to address the case once and for all.
She'll be working with 3 female Canadian ministers appointed to design the inquiry, which will address why Aboriginal women and girls in this country are so at risk.
These 3 women have led the setting up of a truly national inquiry into this tragedy to provide justice for the victims, to provide healing for the families.
Some have linked this violence to the long-term impacts of racism, sexism, colonialism, and the devastating impacts of residential schools on Indigenous men, women, and communities.
But I think the more important thing, and this is what I stress with them, that they include Indigenous women who have really suffered from this problem, because they will be the ones who can say what can be done.
Women like those in Winnipeg. And with the inquiry underway, new evidence provided by the members of the Winnipeg community led to an arrest.
Today, I'm informing the public that Raymond Joseph Cormier has been charged with second-degree murder in the death of Tina Fontaine.
Cormier, 55 years old, had been traced by Winnipeg police to Vancouver and has a preliminary trial hearing scheduled for May 2017.
This was wrong. This little girl should not have been killed. We've all let her down. Like, at every level of society has let this kid down. She had so much potential, like every other kid in the world, and this is what's happened to her. But the way the community pulled together, the entire community pulled together to conclude this investigation, we couldn't have done it without the people of Winnipeg.
A 15-year-old's body, you know, wrapped in a garbage bag, disposed of in the Red River like she's garbage, you know, was just, I think it woke our country up. You know, I think people started to see that that could be their daughter, right? That could be their sister, that could, you know, they now started to see themselves reflected in that, and that it could happen to them, and that, you know, I need to do something about it, I need to get involved.
Coming up on a future episode of 21st Century.
Isn't it incredible? You have outlived yourself. 20 years ago, medical experts told your mother that due to spinal muscular atrophy, you would not live past your 5th birthday. You feel guilty because you have left folks behind. You have left millions of disabled 20-somethings scattered throughout the global South behind. In some ways, they are like you, young, black, profoundly disabled, but in many ways, they are not like you. You live a life they can barely imagine. Unlike you, they are locked up in the back rooms of grim nursing homes, made to disappear from public view, and are neglected and ill-treated by society and the state.